Mikkel,
Hey,
how you
I
going,
like this.
mate?
Good.
So this is our session where we get to know each other and the work that you're doing for ThunderLabs. You were saying just before we jumped onto this that you're from Denmark. Whereabouts?
Yeah, I was 11 when we moved to Australia. We lived mainly on Fyn, which is the middle island. So yeah.
Yeah, right. I was only just recently reading a book, a historical book, on what the Brits did to the Danes in like 1802 with the bombardment of Copenhagen, and
Oh
then
yeah.
the pre-Napoleonic Wars acquisition of the Danish fleet. I had no idea that Denmark, I think it was the biggest fleet in the world or the second biggest fleet in the world that they had around that time. That's mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, there's been a lot of historical things going on there. Um, as a kid, being only 11 when I left, I mainly concentrate on H.C. Andersen stories and things like that, not so much the wars. But later on, I've read a little bit about it myself, and yeah, it is kind of mind blowing. My mum even gave me some letters from one of our ancestors from I think the 1860s war in Germany, and he was a soldier down there, and he got caught and stuff, and yeah, it's war is a terrible thing, but yeah, there's certainly some interesting stories that come out of it at times.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't know what. Well, I do. This historical fiction book series is written by the guy that wrote, The Last Kingdom on Netflix. I don't know if you've seen that.
Right.
He,
Yep.
he wrote one about the wars in India, and then Copenhagen, and then the Peninsular War, and then the culminating in Trafalgar and Waterloo. So I'm reading that whole series, trying to get my head around it. And one of the things that's on my mind is the startling repetition of history and how we can quickly descend into global conflicts, particularly what's going on in Eastern Europe at the moment. So hopefully we don't end up there. But that's not why we're here. But another snippet. We're here to get to know each other, and I'm going to cover a range of things just to introduce you to our community, so it's both internal and external. So, Mikkel, you work for KitFit. You're CTO at KitFit, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Been
and
about 5 years now. We've got lots of technology coming through, lots of things that we're working on. Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, nice. And as I understand it, the way that we access you is because you are mega nerds, mega geeks. I don't know what the right thing is. I know you have a predilection for technology that goes way back. And I know for us, when we're delivering projects of work, you're one of the firms that we depend on. I mean, completely depend on for access to talent. I love it, man. How do you make it work? How do you balance being one of our geeks on demand whilst building a product company, which I'll come back to KitFit, because I love what you guys are doing. So how do you balance that demand and on your time?
Yeah, great question. So at the moment, we're sort of spending half our time developing our product and the other half our time providing services. And so we try and sort of make it 50-50, and then limit what services we can provide, but also make sure we get our actual product out there as soon as we can. There's still a lot of work to go on that, but it's yeah, it certainly is a tricky act sometimes. But
Hmm.
we do at the moment we sort of focus on getting our services out there, and then doing the product when we can.
Yeah. Well, and if we don't mind, let's talk about KitFit first, and then and the product that you're building, and then I'll ask you about what it is that you do for us, and what I would love out of this is anybody that hears it, contacts you directly. I mean, the whole point is your personal brand, KitFit's brand, but then also that flows through to ThunderLabs, the type of people that our customers access through us. Our cohort of geeks. So I think I put myself in that category as well. So yeah, I'm going to do a bad job of this, but you are building a customer success SaaS tool, and I understand it's both bootstrapped and part funded, right? So what's the vision for that product that you're building there? Tell me a bit about it.
Yeah, sure. So we're building a customer success platform where you can basically run your whole customer success team on it. We're integrating it with AI from the ground up. So there'll be a whole bunch of things which are which you can automate. So you'll be able to go in there and kind of work 10 times faster in some cases, and automate things that you don't necessarily want to deal with, and stuff like that. So without going into too much detail, the overall picture is to create a platform which you haven't, and no one's really done before, with AI included in the ground up, and the ability to kind of run your whole team, your customer success team, within our platform.
Yeah. Is this an evolution from the previous products you were working on? Is it the same platforms and frameworks developed into something new, or is it an entirely new product line?
It's a new product line. We're actually rebranding away from KitFit as well. But it's from learnings that we had with dealing with different brands in our original KitFit platform, and so we learned a heck of a lot of things about how to be successful as a customer, and also as someone providing the service. And I thought that was quite interesting. And so we realized that that's actually what customer success is all about.
I love it. Watch out, world. The next Instagram, the next Facebook. Is it going to be that bigger evolution from an original concept?
Well, we'll see. I mean, customer success is typically a small team within large organization that does a SaaS. So it probably won't be as big as Facebook and so on. But that was the original KitFit idea. But it's one of those things where I think we can definitely carve out a very good market for ourselves, and we're going to try and start with certain niches first, and then move on to larger parts of the market.
Yeah, obviously, if anything, I know it's still in development phase, so anything's confidential, please tell me to back the hell off, and I will.
Yeah, that's why I'm not going into too much detail just yet.
Yeah. It makes me think about our own customer success roles that we have at ThunderLabs, and how they might. I don't know if we're in the initial niche that you go for. I mean, obviously, you and our other techs are talking, so I'm sort of sure that will come natural. But I know it's one of the things that I wrangle with is customer engagement plans, consulting engagement plans, anything predictive around the way that we might deliver a better service. I mean, the whole mantra of ThunderLab is heroic outcomes for visionary leaders, right? And I love the idea that we would have game-changing technology to support the work that we do. Someone said to me the other day, actually, who was it? I was in a call like this, and I asked them for advice, and he said you should build your own product to prove that that's what you can do. And I was like, that's interesting, because obviously ThunderLabs is not a product company. We're agnostic to that. So what are you doing for ThunderLabs at the moment? How do our customers engage through ThunderLabs to access your talents?
Usually they'll come through yourselves to want a project of some sort. Now, most of our work with ThunderLabs has been to like greenfields projects. Many of them will be. Can I mention some of the brands we worked with?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So we work with one of the Cochlear projects, and with Beam, and there was a few other bits and pieces there we worked with, but those were some of the main projects recently.
Yeah.
So onboarding solutions is kind of where we shine, or the things that we work the most on, and it's been fascinating to see the different UX you might get in different brands, and how their thoughts are on those things.
Yeah. And so you're obviously working underneath Andrew's watchful gaze for the work that we're doing, and he has a particular way of attracting people and holding on to them through the through the years. I think some of the people I work with I've known for 20 years, and Andrew's not so different. Some of the people in the business doing work like you do. How did you guys come across each other originally?
I worked with Andrew back in 2010.
Oh wow, there you go.
At News Digital Media.
So
I was lead UI developer on one of the projects, and he came onto that project, and we only worked together for about 3 or 4 weeks before I moved on to a different position within the company. But we kept in contact, and caught up for breakfast or lunch every now and then, and always had a good chat about things, and always wanted to work with Andrew because he just seems like the kind of guy who just gets it.
Yeah.
and that's always good to work with people like that.
Yeah. What do you think is secret sources?
Your secret sauce?
Yeah, well, I mean, Andrew and ThunderLabs are indivisible. I
Yeah,
mean, it's his methodology, his approach that we license the market to be clear. But again, he and I've known each other for a long time. I often try and find myself analyzing what it is that he does particularly well. Why people choose him. So, what do you observe from a customer perspective?
yeah, sure. I think that he actually stops and listens. Like to me, that's the key thing that I get that he brings to the table. So he stops, listens, and actually figures out exactly what you're talking about.
Hmm.
Often, if you end up talking to someone that you need some software done, they'll do more of a sales spiel. But Andrew doesn't seem to do that at all. He just has to listen to what you need, and off you go. So to me, that's a pretty good special sauce there.
Yeah, you would think it would be such a ubiquitous skill just to stop and listen, don't you? Well, I would.
Right? Yeah.
I hope that people think of me in the same way on the commercial side. Actually, it'd be a nice thing to have a. I think it's an epitaph, but I'm not done yet. But it'd be a nice thing to have thought of us that we stopped and listened. In terms of the technologies that you work with, I mean, I'm interested in what you work with, like what's the demand, but also what you're passionate about. And I don't mean that as a leading question because I know you're into cyber. I know you were one of the early guys in Java. I think you said before, right?
Script, yeah.
Yeah, JavaScript. Thank you. And I know you're into AI, but for like, I sort of stopped you a minute to get the high level, but I really would like to know the detail of that. What do you see the demand for your services is, and what do you do for business? But then what are you into from a technology perspective?
Yeah, sure. Look, so to me, JavaScript has been really good over the years. It's a language that has evolved a lot, and with some of the newer things on there, such as TypeScript and so on, you get a lot of the features that people have been missing. And so, as that language has grown, the whole thought about it in the community has matured to the point where it's now one of the most popular languages in the world. And
Mm,
so having gotten onto JavaScript early on has been quite beneficial in many ways because right now it's used everywhere. And so whenever I mentioned, yeah, okay, so we run on JavaScript and we develop on this particular platform that we like, and we can also obviously use any other cloud platform in the world because we've got JavaScript.
mhm,
Um, then yeah, it's a pretty easy sell most of the time.
mm,
People go, okay, well, great, let's do that.
mhm, mhm, mhm,
Many of our customers, they don't necessarily care too much,
mhm.
but the fact is, with TypeScript and obviously JavaScript underneath it, it's an easy sell. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. With that, again, I acknowledge that customers don't really care too much about, whether
Yeah.
it's JavaScript or something else. But as we're
Mhm.
talking about JavaScript as being a superpower, what's the favorite benefit you've ever delivered through one of the coded solutions you've done?
Oh, well, sometimes so I'm originally more of a front end developer than a back end developer. I mean, so I
Mhm,
know a lot about the browser, um, and so I've developed solutions that only work on the front end sometimes.
mhm,
And for example, this is not going back some years now, but I was working with a travel agency solution, so a
mhm,
middle office sort of solution for travel agencies,
mhm,
and we were able to create this thing that kind of captures bookings.
mhm,
So this was just when some of the cheaper airlines like Jetstar and so on were coming up, and they didn't really have any interface to the databases. So it's basically you go onto their website, you make your booking, and then manually people were sort of copying all the booking details into
mhm,
the mid office or the back office even.
mhm,
So I created a solution that could do that automatically. So you go and make your thing, and there was an extension in the browser that could go ahead and download all the details and put them in the exact right spot
mhm,
inside our
mhm,
system. And so I really enjoyed that because that was like a outside the box sort of solution,
mhm.
at least at the time. And yeah,
Mhm. Sounds very
one job.
forward thinking.
Yeah.
Did it integrate with flight systems like, Amadeus and Galileo and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so we were mainly a Sabre shop at the time.
Ah,
But
right,
we all,
okay, yeah. I
yeah.
don't like them. They
But,
never did business with me, so they were never on my good list.
oh, fair enough. But you knew those, so that's good.
Yeah. Oh, actually, Amadeus way back when is one of my early customers that gave me a chance, and the guys there. I mean, we're talking 23 years ago. They're still
Yeah,
some of
right.
my best friends. Actually, came from that world, and geez, back then I think I was just doing. I can't even remember. It might have been infrastructure. I think it was infrastructure work. I won't mention the names of the guys because it's been too long, and it would feel like a shameless plug for them or me. But yeah, I got it. Yeah, really interesting. So building front end systems in ahead of the time before the cheaper providers were there, building something that wasn't necessarily all manual in entree. I told you I'm sick. I can barely think. It really feels like it fits into the work that you would do with Andrew, which is about trying to get to benefits benefits fast rather than long cycles of planning and design. I think Andrew says, what is it, building is thinking. So that
Yeah.
feels like it would be good. Did you run that in a pilot type way as well, or was it a more traditional build approach to that?
That was like a pilot. So
Yeah,
basically, we had
nice.
some people saying, "Hey,
That's not
look,
an
we're
airline joke, by
spending."
the way.
Nice.
Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But should have been. No, it was definitely a pilot one, and we sort of had a couple of smaller businesses we worked with first, and they actually approached us and went, hey, look, we're spending this much time copying and pasting stuff. Is there something you can do? And we were like, yeah, okay. And so we developed this solution for them. It was a pretty quick solution.
Mm.
It's not actually all that technically challenging. It's just but back then there wasn't Chrome wasn't a browser, right? So there was no extensions. It was what's called
Mm-hmm.
a bookmarklet at the time, which I'm sure most of your listeners here probably haven't heard of. But nonetheless, it was fun to develop it and kind of get it up and running. And it was a 4-week project. And as soon as that was done, we could release it generally on our platform. And yeah, everyone just loved it. It was yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, got it. Just from then until now, I mean, I've asked about the favorite, benefit you delivered. I mean, I understand that's a nostalgia for the past, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand now the way that you work. And that was pilots, and you work in a pilot company with us. What's the key insight you've learned about delivering digital assets? Like, what's the snippet? I mean, I don't mean this in any preachy way to people, but it's more like a knowledge sharing way. Like, what's the key
Mhm.
observation you've made which ensures success when you're building something digital, whether a product or an asset? I don't really, we could get into the distinctions, but let's just call it a digital asset, product or not. Like,
Yep.
what would you say the insight is?
Look, definitely stop and show people what you're working on. So, again, don't plan ahead too far and just get into it and try and develop something that you think they want and show it to them.
Hmm.
Get the feedback as soon as you can.
Is that on day one, week two? I mean, how quickly should you be showing something, you think?
Depends on how quickly you can code and
Mm.
what you're working on. So, the longest I think I've ever waited was 2 weeks. So,
Yeah. Okay. Wow. I love it. Um, now I would just taking a note there. You mentioned before, it's interesting that you, with the coding work that you do, and then your interest in cyber, because I don't know if you know that, but that's exactly as our organization has evolved also.
all
Like the
right.
mothership of ThunderLabs, we started with building digital assets, but the need for cyber emerged very quickly. Cyber and
Mm.
information security, data governance, these
Yeah.
areas, and they're our strong suits. So what's taking you down that path? Like why had the hobby of cyber?
Yeah. Well, I quite like little electronic gadgets. So I like soldering and developing things and stuff like that. And so I got quite interested in some of the hacking aspects of that. So for example, developing bad USB devices or things that can do things with your Wi-Fi network and kind of do penetration testing that way. Yeah. Uh, when we met the other week, I showed you one device called the Flipper Zero. I've got another device that I've been working on myself here. This is called a Ponegotchi. I don't know if you can see that.
Kind of. Ah, yeah.
On there.
A Ponegotchi. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, it works a bit like a Tamagotchi, except it goes and captures things from your Wi-Fi networks and figures out when it could actually get access to it by hacking it automatically. It's also got machine learning in it, which is really cool. So,
I love him. I love it, man. I need you to meet some friends of mine in Sydney who I was out with. Oh, you won't mind me saying, I caught up with Roz Shivers, who's the head of digital at QB the other week, and we went out for it was just a casual catch up, and he was wearing this giant watch on his wrist, which was
yeah.
flashing green, but it was something to do with network monitoring. And I'm going to go, this is beyond my comprehension of security for networks, but it sounds a little bit like what you're talking about, and I imagine you guys would have a massive nerd out about this because
Yeah, I can imagine.
yeah,
I think I know
so
what you're
you're
talking
actually
about
working
too.
on PCBs and doing hardware design, are you?
Oh yeah, sometimes, yeah. Most of the ones I've been working on have just been ones you can buy online and sort of develop yourself as a kit. But
Mm.
yeah, actual PCB work and stuff like that is good fun too. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I don't know if you noticed, but for 4 years, before I did ThunderLabs, I was in a hardware software company that we had
All
some
right.
small funding, which I had acquired but was largely bootstrapped, which included me learning about, building a prototype PCB design, which we used a firm here in Australia for and I think it was Cochlear. It was Cochlear or one of the others. I don't know. Used Australia to do their prototyping there. So we accessed the same place, but then we had to ship all the main build work over to China, and that was quite an
Yeah.
adventure. So I don't pretend to be a technician, but it's certainly an area of shared interest for you and I, which I love it. I love it when I
Yeah.
have these conversations and I'm like, oh yeah, I sort of know a little bit about that. I think I know enough to be dangerous and get myself into trouble though, not to solve the problem.
Yeah. Right.
Do you ever
Cool.
lament not having a startup that's hardware and software? Do you think that would be a plan later on?
Look, a good friend of mine started something called Ninja Blocks some years ago.
Hmm.
And that was basically before smart homes were a thing. They were building that sort of thing. And they did a lot of hardware design and so on. And it kind of put me off a little bit because it's hard and it's very hard to kind of keep ahead of the thing. So unless
Mm.
you're developing something that's super niche, then it's kind of hard to justify going into a hardware space because someone bigger is going to come along and just eat your lunch as soon as you develop anything that's kind of useful, which is
Yeah,
sort of what happened to them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that's true if you put a good sales and marketing wrap around it and maybe deal with a segment that's not big enough for the big players to come
Mm.
into?
Yes, that would be a good move, I can imagine. Yeah. Um,
Mm. Mm.
then
Well,
it is true. It's
it's an area I'm passionate about, having spent 4 years of my life and made nothing but losses on the business that I invested in. I wish I know now I wish I knew then what I know now about those type of businesses and the necessity of who you found them with. But again, Mikkel, that could be something we get together and talk about. Um, Okay, all right. And so if people in our community want a conversation, I mean, you've already seen some of the content we've got of our other, members of the cohort, and man, I feel blessed every day that how good they are. It's crazy. I rock up to meetings. I'm so proud of like this team of people who have all got their own businesses, but need us to wrap it for them. So I love that. And you've seen some of those interviews. So my question is, in that community, what should people reach out to you for if they want a conversation or to share some ideas? Like what would you what would you want to hear from people about?
Yeah. Anything customer success or, SaaS development, that sort of stuff. Um, yeah, we're definitely up for a bit of a chat, and we will be a bit selective when we end up working with people, making sure that it does fall in our space of customer success as much as possible.
Yeah,
That includes onboarding and things like that, where there's a touch point of some kind that makes sense. Yeah.
yeah,
But
beautiful.
always up for a chat about anything, really.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, yeah, because that was obviously kit fit and product and customer success. But you personally, I mean, what was it? What was your handle? Was it JavaScript guy? Was that what
Yeah,
you were?
yeah.
Okay. So, and is it a bit of a plug? So there's obviously the personal stuff. I get that you talked about work then, but there's obviously the personal stuff that you're interested in too. What was that little thing you told me about JavaScript guy? You had the most popular post about Java. What just
Yeah,
remind me?
yeah. So back when I used to do a fair bit of blogging as JavaScript guy, I had a post which gained the most attraction on Google, which was about long pole JSON-P, which is a technology which no one can say properly. Every time I speak to someone, they're like, "What?" But basically, it was a precursor to WebSockets and a way to kind of get a push notification from a server onto the browser before Chrome and so on was even invented. It was a very early technology, and so I found that really fascinating. And you could build really responsive web apps using that.
Hmm,
Yeah,
hmm. All right, so they can talk to you about early technology innovations. They can talk to you
yeah,
about
yeah,
cyber and hardware devices. They can talk
yeah.
to you about SaaS. They can talk to you about Danish history.
Of course, anytime.
All right. You
The other
know,
thing that we're doing at the moment also is we're working with artificial intelligence quite a bit. So
mm,
ChatGPT, that sort of thing. We're
mm,
writing a platform at the moment, which is going to be like a premier example of how our customer success platform will work. And so
mm,
we're writing an AI platform where you can use it to generate articles and maybe emails if
mm,
you want. Yeah, all that sort of stuff that ChatGPT can do for you, but it's more of an enterprise solution. So,
mm.
and so
When's that solution ready for people to consume?
in about a month and a half or so,
Okay. Can we go
maybe two
first?
months. Hmm?
Can we go first?
Yeah, you can go first. Yeah, yeah.
Mm, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
it's going to be more of I guess an AI an API as well. So you'll be able to kind of create automations and things like that based on things that might be useful for you in customer success. So,
Yeah, so that's an enterprise grade AI platform for
yeah,
customer success and creating content that will be of interest to customers.
yeah, yeah. That's the aim. It's going to be a bit more general at first, so you'll be able to generate kind of any sort of things you want to do. We have like what's called a recipe solution. So you kind of say, okay, so I want to do like a blog post, and then it takes you through all the different steps to quickly create a good blog post and making sure that it's in the tone of voice that you normally do when you blog, or if you're creating emails, in the right tone of voice for your SaaS, that sort of thing.
Right, Mikhail, I'm immediately interested in that. I mean, I invest quite a bit of time in brand and marketing, as you know. We try and
Mm,
create blog content. This is an example of that. I know it's a
yeah,
vlog, not a blog. And I don't think your AI is going to be ready for that just yet to do
that's right. Yeah,
replace us. But verbally, I'm very interested, and it is one of the, if I'm a customer of that, which I probably should be, even though we're in the same ecosystem,
mm,
it is a blocker for us in terms of speed of content to the market. The interpretation of what we do and translating that way in a way that's contextual for the customers that we're dealing with, it slows us down. I mean, I'm working on one right now for a customer to talk about end of life Salesforce SIM to be replaced by Okta and Auth0 and what that looks like,
yeah,
and trying to create that content in um, through marketing, but in my tone of voice, and have the messages like
right,
punchy enough. It's a problem we're trying to solve, and I've been in consulting. So this the brain injury company that I mentioned for 4 years, and then consulting for 13 years before that, and
right,
getting the in literally the IP out of the heads of our consultants into content that would resonate with customers has always been a struggle. So I'm
mm,
fascinated by that, Mikhail. I would love to play around with that. And I really mean it, actually.
great.
Um,
Well, we should do that after this.
Dude,
I'll keep
yeah.
you.
Oh, right
Yeah,
away.
yeah,
Okay, good. Well, okay, well, let me take my next meeting, and then right after
yeah, yeah,
this,
sure.
I'm in.
No worries.
Um, okay, Mikhail, thank you so much for your time. I much appreciated. And as with everybody else, I'm just grateful that you're flying the flag through us, for us, and also independently. I don't even know how to explain the ecosystem sometimes. but it seems to work, and it's all the better for having you and the team in it. So again, gratitude, mate.
Oh, thank you, Chris. Much appreciated for the opportunity to have a chat.